So you're thinking about making a move to Bend or maybe somewhere else in Central Oregon from out of the area at some point here in 2025. Or maybe you're already here and you're thinking about a lateral shift of some kind. You're going to sell and then buy, or maybe just buy, or maybe just sell and then relocate somewhere else. But you need to do one thing, and that's keep your finger on the pulse of the current state of the market as it relates to Bend and Central Oregon real estate. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. It's going to be the February of 2025 version of our monthly market update video. We just received our data, and it's pretty interesting. You could be in for a little surprise here towards the latter part of the video if you stick around. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But where are we at in the general scape of the market? Just got a new president. He just came into office. It's been about 3 weeks, and now we're getting ready for the spring and early summer transactional season. I know there's snow outside right now, but we're in February, and this is the time of year when people start to really think about real estate activity, especially if they're waiting for the timing of the seasonal aspect of it as it relates to spring and then into the summer. Some people are getting ready to list. They're really watching the market right now. Other people are in the market to buy, but they're just waiting for more inventory to come onto market. Right now, our inventory is at a pretty interesting level too. 2.5 months for Bend in the doldrums of the winter. Usually over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been less than a month. So we have more homes for sale than what we're normally accustomed to this time of year. So all these things play a role as it pertains to the local real estate market. And if you're getting ready to enter the market or you're already in it, then this video is exactly for you right here, right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel or it's your 50th, it doesn't matter to me. And you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Bend and surrounding sunny with snow on the ground, Central Oregon in February, then subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market happenings here in Bend and Central Oregon. My name's Ryan. I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. My business partner, Zach, and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you looking for help with their next transaction as it relates to real estate here in Bend and Central Oregon. So whether you're looking to make that transaction a possibility in the next 9 days or 90 days or beyond that, it also doesn't matter to us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, set up a Zoom. We'd love to meet you over a Zoom call through the computer if you're somewhere else. And if you're local here, let's just go get coffee. We'll discuss your situation to figure out what the next course of action is. So, with all that being said, the state of the market, where are we right now? It's February of 2025. And so we're kind of in this interesting predicament right now. We've got rates that have been higher than they've been for the last 3 or 4 years, and yet people are starting to adjust to that. They've accepted the fact that rates were once 3% or better, and now they're at 7%. Could be getting better too, but it's kind of the new baseline, right? A lot of people thought because they went down so quickly and then came back up so quickly after that, that they'll go down again very quickly. Well, that's not really the case. They have set the new bar at a different level. And so now we have to adjust our expectations. But one thing that we do know is that if we zoom out over the last 30 or 40 years, the 7% interest rate level is basically par for the course. It's average, it's the median. Now, will they come down? I kind of expect them to at some point. I know another person in this country is expecting them and maybe putting some influential pressure on them to come down at some point. He doesn't have a ton of that, but he does have some. So we'll just wait and see what really happens. But the point I'm trying to make is right now, and I have with previous videos, is that we can't be waiting for a perfect moment. What you can do is get into a home if you're in the market and looking for a home right now, and then expect that the value of your home will go up over time. You may not feel like you're getting the perfect deal in the moment, the day you're signing at the escrow office and getting your keys. But what you can expect over the course of time, especially if you're a seasoned purchaser of real estate, is that when you buy and you wait, things tend to go your way over the course of time. Good things happen. So with all that being said, let's just dive into the market. We have our data for Bend and Central Oregon for the month of February right now. Let's take a look at what's really going on as we gear up for the end of winter and then head into the early part of spring. Okay, so we have our Beacon report up here. It's the monthly data report that comes out from Beacon Appraisal Group, and they give us fantastic data and great charts to look at on a monthly basis that really helps us paint a picture of what's going on here in the local market. Now, these data points go back 36 months. They go back all the way as early as 2000 and beyond that. But what we have here, the most recent 36 months, and what this is really telling information for me, and what it really tells me is that Bend has been pretty steady for some time now. If we just get right into the nuts and bolts of it, what we're going to see here is that Bend had an increase of their median home price by $35,000 from the previous month of January now into February. And of course, this is always subject to change because it depends on how many transactions there are in that particular month. It also depends on what homes actually sold. I mean, we've got 12 million, $15 million listings out there that sit for hundreds and hundreds of days. What happens the day that they close? Well, the median home price for Bend that month is going to go through the roof, and it will come right back down the following month unless you have another transaction like that, but those are incredibly rare. So if we continue to look here, what we're going to see is that Bend has been pretty steady in the $700,000 range for probably the last year or so. Now, of course, there's spikes and then there's drops, and that's just going to continue on. But if you look at the overall scape, if you were to zoom out over like the last 36 months or so, what you're going to see, and it may not look like it, but it's going to be more of a linear line slightly going up. Okay, the values of homes tend to go up over the course of time. If we really zoomed out for like a 5-year or 10-year period, what you're really going to see is a line that looks more like a 45-degree angle, because the median home price, I know for a fact, back in 2019 and 2020, before the big boom, was probably in the 400, the mid to upper 400,000s. And so just go back 6 years, all of a sudden now we're talking the mid to upper 700,000s in just a 5 to 6 year period of time. So crazy how fast 5 years can go by, but it's also crazy what can happen within that period of time. If we continue to scroll down, we're going to see that the number of sales for Bend in January, aka this month, February, this is when the data is reported, was 111. Now, this is the most we've had in this particular month over the last 3 years. If we look at the other Januaries that we had, what we're noticing is that we had sub 100 transactions for the particular month of January and December, generally speaking, for the last 3 years or so, with the exception of January 2022, when we were coming out of that COVID boom, right? We were just coming, that was the tail end of everything. And we still had a ton of volume back then. But this is more of what the charts will look like from a transactional standpoint, month to month, over the last, say, 24 months. This is generally what you're going to look at and what it's going to look like with the seasonality from a month to month standpoint. But we had basically 20 to 25% more sales in this January last month than we did the previous January. So interesting things there. Is that a sign of things to come with real estate activity as it relates to this year 2025 in general? Are we going to see a busier February than a March and April? We will just have to wait and see. I would expect it to be very busy this year, but we'll just have to wait and see what ultimately happens, okay? Days on market. This is another interesting factoid right now, especially for you buyers out there. This is our 4th month in a row where we had at least 40 days on market, and 2 of those 4 months were over 50 days on market. We scale back to the previous high was 51 months back in February of 2023, so about a year ago. Again, this is that time of year where things are slow. We finally have some snow on the ground. It's going to slow activity down without a doubt. But what we can see if we scale back to even 36-ish months ago is that this is kind of the theme that we had for about 2 to 3 years. 4 days on market, 5 days on market, less than that, 3 days on market. I mean, it was crazy for that 24-month stretch, right? That was very unusual. That is the outlier. This here is getting back to normalcy. This is more of a healthy state of the market, more balance. That's what we're looking for. Homes that sit on the market, okay? What happens to those sellers? They tend to get fatigued. They tend to get worn out. They tend to get a little emotional themselves. Okay, I need to sell my house. Okay, somebody comes in with a low ball offer or a lower offer, I may be more prone to at least consider it and haggle a little bit. I mean, that's what's funny about this whole market right now. If a home is priced appropriately, it will sell pretty darn quickly. There's so many little neighborhoods within Bend that are so hot and they're so popular because of the location or because of the makeup of the house or the subdivision, all that stuff, or a combination of everything, that the houses still go in 5 days, 10 days or less. So it's all about perspective. There's plenty of homes that are overpriced that will just sit forever and ever and ever because some people still kind of have that bias from 3 years ago. Like, I can just put the house on the market and I'll get whatever it is I feel like because it's Bend and Bend is booming, and people from California or people from Seattle or people from anywhere are trying to get here because Bend's on the map. It's not necessarily the case. Now, sometimes it is, but again, it's not necessarily the case, especially right now in this state of the market. If we scroll down here, we're going to see building permits. They went down a little bit, 29 building permits last month. We scroll down some more. Here's our supply. We talked about that at the beginning of the video. We're sitting at 2.5 months again for the second month in a row, but we did have a 8-9 month stretch where we were chilling at 3 months or more, and then just barely dipping down to 2.5 months. Again, if you look back, that's a ton of inventory based off of the last 36 months. I mean, imagine trying to be in the market as a buyer right now with 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week of inventory. Isn't that nuts? It was pretty crazy a couple years ago. So now, again, more healthy state of the market. Houses will sit longer as a result of having more available, which makes it healthier for everybody involved. It really does, including the seller, believe it or not. We continue to scroll down. We're going to get into some other parts, some Redmond areas and some other parts of Central Oregon. But one thing I do want to kind of bring to your attention right now is that there are 452 homes in the Bend area that are currently on the market. Okay, that's more than we've had in a January in multiple years. But one thing I should point out too is that when it says Bend right here, we've got Sun River included. We've got Alfalfa included. We've got the Pronghorn/Juniper Preserve area included. Plainview, this is like Highway 20 on the way out to Sisters. It's practically in Sisters. And then you have the triangle here, the Bend, Sisters, and Redmond Triangle, and a lot of this little Tumalo area is considered Bend, south of, say, the junction there midway through. But this gives you some perspective. Okay, 452 homes that are currently on the market right now. And if we really wanted to dive in, let's get an idea for how many $1 million homes are available on the market right now in the Bend area. 180 homes are listed currently over $1 million, with our median home price being $735,000. So very interesting statistics right now. We'll revisit this with Redmond here shortly, but what we want to do now is continue on with the market update. Now, I told you this in the early part of the video. There's a surprise about midway through, and we have embarked upon it. Redmond is literally celebrating or enjoying, or not so much enjoying, for depending on who you are, a new all-time high. That's right. Redmond literally is at a new all-time high for its median home price. $562,000. You scale back, this has been the busiest real estate 36-month period in basically every market's history. And you can't see a 562 in there anywhere. We saw a 542. Okay, we had a 540 here back in June of last year. And then if you go back to the boom from 2020 through 2022, we had 542 in August of 2022 for a all-time high. And now Redmond is sitting at a new all-time high. This is the closest it's been to, say, Bend in some time. It's less than a $200,000 discrepancy. And that's very interesting. We're going to explore what that means. I did some due diligence on what was going on with Redmond in the last 30 or 35 days. There were 4 homes over 1 million that did sell and close, and there was probably 7 or 8 over 900, including those $1 million homes that closed, which kind of propelled the price up. But there's more data that we need to look at to really dive into this and make sense of it. Okay, we scroll down and we see the number of sales. We also see a very low volume of sales. Only 32 transactions occurred in Redmond last month. That is incredibly low based off of the data. If you look back here over the last 36 months, sure, December of 2023, that's basically a 2-week month when it comes to real estate, because the final half of December, most people aren't doing much when it comes to real estate for obvious reasons. But 32 transactions, okay? That's the second lowest volume of transactions in Redmond in the last 3 years. So don't really put too much stake into the fact that this is the new norm. This is certainly not the new norm. This is going to make news. This will be on our local news websites, and it'll be on local TV. Redmond just experienced a new all-time high, and that's fine. But it's interesting, but it is a sign of things to come. Redmond is growing at a very fast pace too, and that's kind of like the linear line over the last 5 to 6 years as it relates to Redmond, Oregon real estate median home prices. It's been pretty sustainable in the 500s though for quite some time over the last 3 years or so, but it's kind of interesting to see such a big spike, $64,000 spike in a single month. But it does come down to the fact that there is only 32 transactions, and many of those were either 900,000 or more. But it's a sign of things to come. Redmond is catching up to Bend. It's not going to catch Bend, but it's still going to continue to play catch up for the foreseeable future. And Redmond's a fantastic town. It really is. Much smaller, much quieter. It's got better weather too, most likely. And some would say that it also has better views. Kind of the hub. We just did a video on downtown Redmond, as well as a subdivision nearby. That one will be coming out here in the next week or so. But let's continue on with the market update. Very interesting things here. Days on market, 60. Okay, what gives, right? Highest days on market in the last 3 years, while also experiencing a new all-time high. There's all kinds of confusing things in the market. There really is. There's things that you can't really explain, but we're sitting at 60 days on market right now, and sometimes it's just a coincidence. Okay, some homes that were sitting for a while ended up selling for a very high price point, and it's just the way it goes. So again, this is all temporary data. It changes month in, month out, but it gives you kind of a zoom out macro barometer of the general market, if you will. If we continue to move down, what we're going to see here, conventional versus cash transactions. Again, small volume of transactions last month. Very interesting. Building permits almost equaled what Bend had. I think it was 29 or 28 to 24. Redmond's booming. There's a lot of activity there. It's 3 straight months of 2 months of inventory for single family residences. And again, same theme as Bend. We did have some spike ups to 3 months, 3.5 months, 4 months. And that's nice. And that's very beneficial for the market. It makes it healthy. But again, you go back to the final 36 months or the last 36 months, what you're going to see are crazy numbers of low volumes of inventory. I mean, it's just nuts how little there really was to select from for that 24-month period of time. So we continue scrolling down. What we're going to get to are the smaller markets of the Central Oregon area. Sister, 684,000, 5 transactions, days on market, 200 days on market. Man, I mean, it's crazy how the roller coaster of the data for these small markets that only do 5 transactions. I mean, there could have been a house in there that was just sitting there for, I don't know, 4 years that finally sold. Who knows? I mean, why it's listed for 4 years, I have no idea. But you understand the ebb and flow. 200 days is a long time to be listed especially for a median days on market. Whereas we go to Sun River, what we have are 928,000 for a median, 10 total sales, 56 days on market with 3 months of inventory. La Pine, 403. 12 transactions, and days on market has gone down by about 20, 25 days, 67 days now. 5 months of inventory, that's also nice. There was about 8 months of inventory, I think maybe just a month ago. So either a lot of homes were taken off the market or a lot of homes sold. I think we know the answer to that. Generally speaking, there's usually about, 8 to 15 sales a month in La Pine. So there must have been some homes that were taken off. And then Crook County, which is Prineville, you got 8 sales, median home price 406, 125 days, and 4 months of inventory. So where are we really at with this macroscape of the market? It's very interesting. We're in 2025, and there is data that's suggesting that from a macroscape nationally, our transactional volume in 2024, we did just over 4 million home transactions in the country in 2024. And that is the slowest market dating back to 1995. 30 years, the 30-year low right now. That includes, obviously, the real estate, the market crash, the meltdown of 2008. There were still more transactions in 2008 than there were in 2024. What does that say about the general scape of the real estate market? It's pretty wild where we're at right now. Are things going to get better? Well, it feels like we're at a bottom. If that's a statistic right there, if that's a data point, most people don't even understand it. And we're sitting here at the slowest, coldest, most frozen market in 30 years. What does that mean for you as a buyer? What does that mean for you as a seller? Now, if we zoom out, okay, and we see this data from a national landscape, it doesn't necessarily kind of speak to what Bend and Central Oregon is. It's a very desirable area. There's transactional volume happening constantly. There's people coming in, there's people going out. We have visitors at a very high level. There's over 4 million visitors to Bend and Central Oregon every single year, and a small percentage of them each and every year decide, I got to move here. I got to live here. I'm going to relocate here. So we're growing. Okay. We're in a very central location. We're very conveniently located in between Seattle, San Francisco, LA, Portland, right on the West Coast. Tons of sunshine, mountain town. Of course, it's very desirable. It's not going to be, define or reflect what the national data is reflecting. But what we can speak and say in regards to this general sentiment is that the sentiment kind of is the same. Okay, everybody around here thinks it's very slow. Everybody thinks they're waiting for a moment. But hopefully speaking, on behalf of many, what they're doing now is coming to grips with the new reality. Now, you can wait for a long time for rates to be perfect for yourself, or you can just jump into the market, take advantage of an opportunity as it presents itself, and then get a new rate when those rates do arrive. It could be this year, it could be next year, it could be 5 years from now. We don't know. But what we do know is that you can always refi out, but you can't get the house that you wanted unless it's available, and you can't get the price that you paid for it unless you're in the market right now. So all those things to be considering, especially if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, you can look forward to buyers now coming to reality with where things are in the market. Real estate is a slow mover when it comes to all kinds of macro decisions that are made to alter the speed of the way the economy is working. Okay. And so when real estate finally does catch up, and it does, it tends to stick around for a longer. It's a slow reactor. And that's kind of the state of the market that we're in right now. So if you're a seller, still great time to sell in Bend. Okay, there's people looking for a home, and the home that you're trying to put on the market. It's just a matter of having it out there and presentable. If you need help with that, Zach and I would love to be of service for that as well. Now, this is going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully this gives you an understanding of where we're at in the current state of the market. From a 2025 vantage point, we're gearing up for the busy time of year. It's coming. It's probably still about 60 days away, but this is that time of year where people are beginning to kind of consider transaction, whether it's a buy or a sell, or it's a combination of the two. And then from a macro standpoint, we'll just wait and see what happens. Do we expect rates to come down? Yes, we do. At some point in time, we just don't know when. So with that being in mind, please reach out to us when it's time for you to make some sort of transaction as it relates to Central Oregon real estate. Call us, text us, email us. It starts with you guys, and then we will meet, whether it's through the computer or whether it is in face-to-face at a coffee shop somewhere. We'd look forward to helping you guys accomplish your goal, whatever it is. My name's Ryan, licensed broker with eXp Realty. Thank you for watching today's video, and we will see you on the next one.